Montreal's Go Velo festival, with its day and night rides around the city, seemed like the perfect opportunity to pull the Canon G7X II out of my pocket for a review. When a company updates a model without changing the name, as Canon has done here with the Canon G7X II, it's usually an indication that the first version was a success, and that's true here. The Mark I was well received and well reviewed. The same things that made the original successful are repeated and improved in the Mark II. Returning are the 20 megapixel 1-inch sensor, the 24-100 equivalent lens which opens to f1.8 when wide, a selfie flipping touchscreen LCD, and two features every pro wants: full manual control of exposure and focus, and the ability to save RAW files, as well as several fun modes and features. It's a few millimeters larger, a few grams heavier, and a few dollars more, but it remains a tiny and light bargain. It's got an integrated flash which tilts up to bounce, but no flash shoe. New is an improved front grip, the ability to rotate the LCD down for overhead shots, and a switch to turn off the previously clicky lens ring. A new processor increases low light performance, speeds up burst mode, and improves autofocus and battery life. And there's a new time-lapse movie capability. Although there are no settings to control it, the HDMI output is live, perfect for an external monitor or recorder, making the G7X II even more versatile. Unfortunately, it blacks out the LCD and, of course, eliminates the touch functions. Still missing is a viewfinder found in its direct competitors, the Panasonic LX100 and Sony RX100, and 4K video. While not dramatic, the front grip helps, but really, this is a wrist strap camera and I prefer letting it dangle from my wrist while I'm walking around. The lens ring, which changes function depending on other settings, the current mode is generally indicated on screen, can be controlled using a button on the back and the switch under the lens. The ring func button selects which setting is controlled. In manual, select between iris and shutter. I like a click for both of those. In program, among others, it selects focus, step, or seamless zoom. For both of those, click action is not helpful, so switch it off. Makes sense to have a switch. Stills, whether you're shooting in auto mode, which I find more advanced than most, or program, aperture, shutter, time value in the Canon language, or manual, is simple. Press the on-screen star to use the program shift for alternate shutter-aperture combinations. In other modes, the star locks exposure settings. Also useful, on camera page 6, safety shift, which overrides aperture or shutter priority if that will result in out-of-bounds exposures. For example, even though the shutter priority is at 1/200th, it resets to 1/50th in this situation. It works best in shutter priority, kicking in when it can't open the iris further. In aperture priority, it takes the shutter to 1 second before opening the aperture. ISOs from 200 to 12.8 are available. In a pinch, 125. In auto, a maximum can be set and the rate of change, which would be a useful feature for shooting video. It defaults to standard while recording. The G7X II is capable of full manual controls. Turn the mode dial to M, adjusting shutter and aperture using touchscreen controls, or, alternately as indicated on screen, by using the lens ring and the control ring. Manual focus, selected by pressing the left side of the control ring, is a little more awkward. It's adjusted by pressing up and down on the control dial. Frustratingly, in manual exposure, it's not available as an option for the lens ring as it is in the other modes. There are two focus measurement ranges. They switch as you turn from centimeters to meters. Those using imperial measurements may wish to switch to feet and inches. Focus peaking is available, selected from menu page 4. According to the manual, Safety MF deactivates focus fine-tuning when the shutter is soft pressed. It's a terrible explanation of an interesting feature. Combined with manual focus, Safety MF makes minor focus adjustments as the shutter is soft pressed. This means that if the object is focused and you make minor position adjustment, soft pressing brings it back into focus. Well, that's the idea. I'm going to need more practice. In manual focus, press the menu button to open the focus bracket controls. Set the range, and then take 3 images, one at the manual focus point, one nearer, one further. An unexpected feature for this camera. Shooting video by the light of a single candle is feasible, even without going to ISO 6400. When it's bright, there's a built-in ND filter, which with an ISO minimum of 200 and a minimum aperture of f11, shooting at 1/60th shutter for video can be impossible outdoors. The ND, which is activated automatically for stills but must be manually turned on for video, is very useful. The G7X was preferred by vloggers and YouTubers, particularly because of its excellent video quality, its flip-up selfie screen, and the wide-angle, wide-aperture lens. Time-lapse is a welcome addition for video production. If you're close, the internal microphones work quite well. But for most applications, I prefer an external recorder. There are 5 video modes. Auto, called Standard. Short Clip, a silent mode with options to set the length of the recording and the speed of the playback for fast and slow motion. Manual, for control over shutter and aperture, that's my preference. Time-lapse, set the options on shooting menu 7. Using scene 1 with an interval from 1 to 4 seconds, 30 to 900 shots, the recording and playback length is shown on screen. Scene 2 can set from 5 to 10 second intervals up to 720 frames. Scene 3, interval up to 30 seconds, limited to 240 shots. There's also an iframe mode, a less compressed recording format with a higher bitrate. HD movies can be recorded at 60, 30, and 24 frames. 720 and standard definition at 30. These are standard MP4 files at about 25 megabits. In movie mode, pressing the shutter button will take an image. Press the red button to start recording. Press either the shutter or the red button to stop. Shooting while riding a bike may not be a great idea, so I was surprised by the footage I recorded, particularly during the Tour la Nuit. The G7X II not only provides image stabilization, but also dynamic leveling to keep the horizon straight. Both of these features require the camera to reduce the sensor's imaging area, so you'll notice that it zooms slightly. If you're shooting on a tripod or want to stop it from zooming, turn both off. The level display shows both horizon and forward-backward tilt. The camera starts, the lens has to extend, quickly, using the top power button. The shutter button has a back and forth lever to zoom. The EV adjustment dial is under the mode dial. It took me a few days to be comfortable changing modes without changing the EV. It did not take long to get used to the touchscreen, which I find most useful and elegant as a method of managing settings and menus, as well as a very cool way to get exactly the subject you want in focus and snap. Use shooting menu page 2 to turn touch shutter on and off. In most cases, touch what you want to change or press Q, top right, for the context-sensitive settings menu. With a wide 24mm equivalent focal length, a large iris f1.8 wide, 2.8 zoomed in, and a close focus distance, it's easy to achieve a pleasant defocused background. There's no filter mount, so the 3-stop ND filter provides the additional control needed for defocused blurred backgrounds. Burst mode gets off about 20 shots in 2 seconds before slowing to about 2 per. Canon includes some interesting features not found elsewhere. Although they're interesting and fun, they do take time to master, particularly understanding the scenarios where they're most useful. Along Toronto's waterfront trail, like Hybrid Auto, one of the settings on the mode dial. Prior to each photo, it records a few seconds of video, making a little digest of the day's photos, which it combines into a video clip. If you can remember to intro each shot, it's a good reference, so here's how I'd recommend you use it. Before taking a shot, decide whether this should be part of the digest video. If it is, switch to hybrid mode, compose the shot, prepare a sentence to set the scene, speak
the Sunnyside Bathing Pavilion,
and then press the shutter. Then remember to switch out if you don't want the next shot in the digest. If you can master that, the video summary of the day can be very rewarding. There's a fully customizable self-timer mode, set the delay time and the number of shots. Canon's auto-detect scene mode functions seem to be more extensive than most. And then there are the selectable scene modes, 13 all touch selectable. Many are straightforward, like fireworks, panning, and background defocus, adjusting the settings to assist with a specific shot. Others, like HDR, which takes multiple exposures for a wider dynamic range, also include options, like Art Embossed, seen in the lower left, accessed by turning the lens ring. Art Bold and Watercolor have settings for the amount of the effect. Although there is a screen preview, you won't really see the full effect until after the photo is taken and processed, which takes a few seconds. Most are not video compatible, but miniature is. Set the focus point and the playback speed 5, 10, 20 times. In star mode, press the bottom left to select portrait, nightscape, star trails, or star time-lapse movie.
While there's a lot that intrigues me, I find it a bit of a challenge to remember each specific situation and the settings, unless there's a setting that you'd use often or a specific effect that you want.
Faces can be registered, helpful to make sure your children or the bride and groom are given priority, but it does require an element of preparation and cooperation beforehand. Predictably, Wi-Fi, used with Canon's free app, transfers images to a smartphone or tablet. Although this capability has been around for a while, it's now more reliable and easier to use. Press the dedicated button on the side. I find it the simplest way to get a high-quality image to Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. The app also transfers GPS info from phone to camera and a handy, if basic, remote control functionality. Because of the Q Touch context menus, there are very few times when the main menu is needed, but again, Touch enables quick and easy navigation. There is the option to create a personalized My menu, and although I might set that up eventually, during the review period it didn't seem necessary, and overall ease of use is very good. The shutter is electronic along with 3 status sounds. You can select the sound and set the level or mute the whole business. Here's a tip to enter silent mode quickly. Hold the down button while powering on. You'll need the menu to unmute. The camera mutes automatically in baby and sleeping baby mode. Here's another Easter egg. Hold the set button to display the time. There are 6 pages of playback options, including red-eye correction, raw processing, and the ability to add creative filters, a capability that I find more worthwhile than adding the effect while I'm shooting.
In the G7X II, Canon provides pocket point-and shooters with a camera that, thanks to its large sensor, its controls, and its feature set, provides pocket point-and shooters with the rationale to put down that phone and take a photograph instead of an image.